Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Tuesday, November 7th. We've got a little update here from the Jaguars on what Ezra Cleveland's role will be here in Jacksonville and some injury updates ahead of a big Week 10 matchup against the San Francisco 49ers. So let's go ahead and get into it. First, though, if you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out GenJag.com/shop and pick up some new Duval gear. So, again, the Jaguars' Doug Peterson clarified what Ezra Cleveland's role will be here in Jacksonville. The Jaguars traded for Ezra Cleveland right before the deadline, trading a sixth-round pick to Minnesota for a guard who has started most of his career and played at an extremely high level, certainly in 2023. So for the Jaguars in 2023, he's a backup. He is a backup guard, and I know some people are like, well, why do you make a move for a backup guard at this point in the season? Because having a starting caliber backup guard on an offensive line that has struggled a little bit, Trevor Lawrence, he's been getting hit and sacked more than he has at any point in his career this year. Getting a backup who is a starting caliber backup when you've had a team that has gotten banged up on the offensive line throughout the year, guys that have been dealing with different little nicks and bruises, it can be huge for you. You're a team that's trying to make a run in the playoffs to the Super Bowl. So having an offensive line that has backups that can come in and play at a high level for you, I think is huge. Now, it's also huge because if anyone goes down on that offensive line with any sort of injury, you now have a starting caliber replacement at guard and at tackle, right? Because if a guard goes down, obviously you pop Ezra Cleveland into that starting lineup, okay? And again, Ezra Cleveland has worked with Phil Rauscher before for 2 years in Minnesota, so he's not going to be completely unfamiliar with what the Jaguars are doing here. And then if you look at a tackle going down, whether it's Cam Robinson or Anton Harrison with an injury, obviously you're hoping no one does go down, but if somebody does get a little injury here or there, then you're able to kick Walker Little out to tackle whichever tackle spot it is, and then again, put Ezra Cleveland into the starting lineup at guard. So no matter what happens, if there's only one injury that happens the rest of the way, or one guy is out this week, one guy's out next week, whatever it may be, the Jaguars are prepared to insert a starting caliber player in their spot. And I think that's huge. Again, for a team that the offense needs to play better down the stretch, getting into the playoffs, all that stuff, the offense for the Jaguars needs to improve. It does. And they have not locked up a playoff spot by any stretch at this point. They're obviously 6-2. They're sitting in a great spot. But this is a team that still has a lot of work to do in 2023 to win their division, to get a good playoff seed, and then potentially make a run. We'll see how it all plays out. But I do think adding a starting caliber guard, and now you have a lot of options for if you have any guys go down on that offensive line. Love to see it. And we also have some injury updates from Doug Peterson. Walker Little, for one, should be good to go this week. He was active against the Steelers, but more in an emergency situation. Tyler Shatley started at left guard in that game. So Walker Little, according to Doug Peterson, should be good to go this week as long as there are no setbacks. Same thing for two of the Jaguars' most important players on the defensive side of the ball, Tyson Campbell and Andre Sisco. They're both expected back by Doug Peterson this week. Again, as long as there are no setbacks. And what does that do? It gives you more experience and talent at corner, right? You've had Buster Brown starting the last couple weeks for Tyson Campbell, and obviously it gets Andre Sisco, who's your best ball-hawking player, back in the middle of that field. So two starters that are playing at a very high level back on the field, potentially for the Jaguars this week, which is huge on the defensive side of the ball. Zay Jones, he's the one that it still seems like he's a little ways off. Doug Peterson said they did have a workout on Monday with him, and it was pretty good, but he's still technically day-to-day. And Demetrius asked Doug Peterson if IR was a possibility for Zay Jones. He didn't exactly rule it out. It didn't sound like they're going to go in that direction. But obviously, I think if the Jaguars had known how long this would linger, they might have put him on IR way earlier. We'll see how it plays out with Zay Jones. And the Jaguars, they obviously want Zay Jones back. His ability to create separation, to be effective in the red zone, all that stuff for the Jaguars offense, take attention away from Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, I think is very valuable, because right now in that role, you just haven't had much production, much attention paid to anybody in And the Jaguars receiving core, again, besides Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, and Evan Ingram, having that fourth player that can really go get the job done for you at a high level is huge for this Jaguars offense, and they just haven't had that without Zay Jones. You saw when he was able to come back for just a moment against the Bills, he was able to get a big touchdown against them, and then, re-aggravated the knee. So unfortunate for him, unfortunate for the Jaguars. You're hoping you can get him back at some point because, again, what he does bring to the field, even if it's just taking attention away from your other guys, is very valuable for the Jags. So the Jags, obviously, they have a huge matchup this weekend against the 49ers, Week 10. You want all hands on deck that you can get, right? Having a refortified offensive line with Walker Little back, with Ezra Cleveland available for the Jaguars against the 49ers defensive front, I think is really good. You want to have as many guys as you can that are talented. When you've got Nick Bosa and now Chase Young coming in here, and obviously Javon Hargrave, it's an unbelievably talented defensive front for the San Francisco 49ers. And then again, potentially getting Tyson Campbell and Andre Sisco back on the back end against 49ers offense, led by Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy playing fairly well, and just a myriad offensive weapons for the San Francisco 49ers. You want to have all your guys on the defensive side of the ball that you can. It looks like the Jaguars are going to get Tyson Campbell, Andre Sisco, and Walker Little back this week, but you'll have to stay tuned for updates. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. Hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. Follow Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag. Please hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube if you enjoy the content. Notification bell so you don't miss a show. And of course, check out genjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear. We're going to have a new drop this morning at 9 a.m., so watch out for that. Really appreciate y'all. Have a good one.